Italian Sicilians do it better. Oh, can't you see? From cooking to comedy, it's pure family. Turn it up, this groove's for you. Queens in the house, bringing something true.
What's going on, everyone? We're back with another one. Today, I have one of my favorites here. Tara Cannistraci's in the building. How are you doing?
Good. Very good. You almost got it.
Almost. Cannistraci.
It's all right. There you go. You got
Gotta roll
it.
the R's.
So how did you get a name like that? Let's start with the
my
history.
God. Sicily, baby. There's this. The Cannistracis are only from Sicily. It's like if you Google the name, that's where it's from. Messina region.
Okay.
Have you been to Sicily?
Yes, I have, and I've been to where my father came from, my hometown where his parents were, and
That's beautiful.
Nice.
it was a really beautiful experience. I actually did a video when I was there just because I was like so proud of it. It was ironic because when I went there, I was showing people like the town. I was in Taormina, and I was like, "Oh, I'm going here," and they were like, "Oh, the Godfather." And I was like, no, I'm going. This is where my grandparents were from, and they were like, "No, the Godfather," and it happens to be one of the towns where the Godfather was filmed, and I had no idea the church my grandparents were married in is in the movie.
Wow.
It's
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's
so
some history.
It was there's a tour in the town for the Godfather, and then
Wow. That's pretty interesting.
yeah, and we had no idea. It was just like that was the church. Nobody in my family even knew that that's where the Godfather was filmed.
So, I mean, I'll be ashamed to tell you, I love my country. You know, my parents were born there, but I have a fear of planes. So I only got to go once. I'm hoping I could do it again.
Okay, what age did you go?
I was 18, 19 years old,
Okay,
and I'm 40 now. So it's been a while.
about time now.
Yeah.
I gotta drag him.
And we have more family there than we actually do here.
Do your parents go back?
My mom is actually going back this summer.
Okay,
My mom lives in Florida.
okay.
They came when they were in their early teens. My father, he's passed, but he's came when he was a child.
Okay.
But yeah, like my father's brother's still out there
Palermo or in the region?
in the region,
province
the
of,
province
yeah.
of it. My grandmother's, her cousins, aunts and uncles, they're all still there. Some are still alive.
It's really,
Yeah.
so, I'm not just saying it. I know the plane, I get it. I'm a control freak and I have to be in a plane every week. I was a terrible flyer. Like even every couple months, I bug out about it. I have no choice, right? It's like literally the only way for me to work. But take a Valium, a little red wine, right? Enza could, drug you once you're on the plane.
I tried. Long story.
Better
We
with
all
the
wanna hear
plane, though, right?
I'm much better now.
Okay.
But there are still moments where I'm
So
going to be honest, I'm not good. But I'm on a plane every week.
What got you to change?
It was like I had literally no choice.
Gotta do it.
I had literally no choice. And then I would do things. This crazy story a few months ago, I was going to Cali and I was like, I don't feel like I should be going. There's something wrong. Like I'm not going to go the
Oh,
plane.
like that gut feeling, like
that
something's
crazy
happening.
feeling. And I was calling the Uber to the airport. Wait, and I go, if something happens, it's a sign. And the Uber pulled up and then drove away. And I was like, I'm not getting on the plane.
No way.
My husband like ramming my feet out the door. He's like, "You're going, bitch. You got shows." I'm like, "No." There's like, he like kicking and screaming. I called another one. That one canceled on me. I'm like, it's I'm
meant
not getting
to
on
go.
that plane.
That's crazy.
He had to drive me. I was like freaking out. And then I get there and I'm like, oh, it's fine. Never mind.
I noticed that Uber does that a lot. I was on my way here couple weekends ago. The guy was waiting outside.
They didn't want to cross the bridge.
I opened the door, cancels it, and drives off. I
Yeah.
said, "You motherfucker! I just saw you."
Because it was the bridge. Sometimes
that's
they
what that
find
is?
out where you're going. And a lot of times, who the hell wants to go to the airport? And the traffic to the airport lately is crazy.
insane.
At the terminals is crazy.
Oh
so.
yeah, they don't let you
Yeah.
park. They don't let you do nothing.
So how's the balance of the lifestyle if you're always traveling? Because I see you're all over the U.S., you're up in Canada. So how is that?
No balance. I was just figuring it out today. I'm like only home for like 5 days this month.
Do you not miss?
I do. I miss my home. Once I get home, I'm like, oh my God. But once I'm home for I've been home now for the holidays. I'm like, all right, I'm ready.
Makes sense.
I'm ready to go back.
I take off a week. I go back to work. I'm like, I'm ready for the next one.
Yeah.
So talk about us about how did you get Tara jokes? Why did that change?
So my grandmother, I had to change. I want to be known as Tara Cannistraci. Obviously, it's my name, but nobody was finding me on social media. And like I was doing shows with like really big comics and I was getting the stage time and they were like, tell everybody to follow you once you're on stage. But I can't be like, guys, follow me at Tara Cannistraci. They'd be like, who, where? How am I spelling that? And I was like, I gotta shorten this. And my great grandmother's name was Josephine. A lot of our grandmother's names were Josephine. And it was Joe for short. And my mother put Joe for my name in the middle. And so I did just Tara Jokes. Because I felt like it's still kind of my name.
Yeah.
The only problem is now it's like people will see me in the street and they'll be like, oh, it's Tara Jokes over there. And I'm like, no, that's definitely not my name. Like, I don't want people to think my name is Tara Jokes. People don't know. Like, people will go over to people, like, or even Chaz, be like, oh, I love Tara Jokes. And you'll be like, who? Like, Tara Cannistraci, like my name, people don't know my name. So it's not that good that I did that.
Well, it's not, but you know what? For social media purposes, it definitely it does help. I
got to start saying my name more, though.
No, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
There's been comedians I've gone to see that are not really known, but I kind of like them. I can't remember their name because it wasn't catchy.
Yep.
So it is good, but then you have that downfall.
Yeah.
That you're
It's true.
Mrs. Jokes.
Yeah, Mrs. Jokes. Nice to meet you.
So I've had a lot of people on this couch. Australia, Canada, and when it comes to the boroughs, I've had every borough but the Bronx.
This is it. I'm christening the chair today.
So we sealed the deal with the 5 boroughs.
That's amazing.
Where did you get the name the Bronx Barbie?
So that originated from a joke during the pandemic. I was working in a club and I was in the green room. I never checked the stage before I got out. It was like they were taking all these precautions, all these measures. And I walked out on stage and I was like, there was plastic all around the stage and I had no idea. And I was like completely caught off guard. And the whole audience can see I was caught off guard. And I was like, what? I feel like it looked like almost like a Mattel plastic container.
Like a hazmat, like one of those things where you get contaminated.
It was all clear though, and I'm like, I feel like I look like I'm like Mattel's pitching me as the Bronx Barbie right now, and the crowd went wild. Like they laughed because they knew it was so. I was like, what would the Bronx Barbie? You know, what would she even be like? What would her accessories be? I'm like chewing gum, like a bad accent, hairspray, She wouldn't like Ken. She'd go out with Rocco. He would do construction. And I just started like riffing on the stage and the crowd went wild. And it was at a time that we all kind of really needed to laugh. Yeah. It was such an awkward moment. That's pretty weird that I'm performing in a plastic bubble. Like it was just one of those things where you're like, we all needed to like, okay, this is crazy, but let's have a good time. Right. And so I just said it on stage and people started like messaging me and DMing me or commenting on my things, the Bronx Barbie. So I filmed the joke and I posted it and the joke went viral. Wow. So I was like, okay, you know what? The Bronx Barbie.
Why not?
I'll run with it, right? It was chosen for me. I named the tour the Bronx Barbie Tour this year.
That's cool.
Unfortunately, I can't do merch because it's a copyright, but it was
There's a most awkward place, but the most, I guess, great place to be at the same time because it invented this whole...
Yeah, it invented this whole kind of persona for me. And I feel like the people from the Bronx are so grateful that I like represent them in a way like that.
Yeah.
Christening the chair here at Italian Sicilians do it better. And I'm always trying to bring the Bronx into a positive light. So it works. It works for this year for certain, yeah.
Absolutely.
How long have you been doing stand-up?
About, it's been my 13th year I'm going into, yeah.
Does that, I like to ask, I have a few comedians here, does that stage fright ever leave? Do you just ever go on or it's always in your mind for every show?
I still have that, like, I really care. So I always have that, like, a little bit of, I just want this to go right for people. And it's changed for different reasons. Like, in the beginning, I used to get that feeling because I'd be like, oh my God, I'm so scared. What am I doing? This is insane. I'm going to go on stage by myself and, like, collectively make strangers laugh at the same time. Like, it's almost an insane thought when you think about it. Whereas now, I get that kind of that feeling in my stomach because now I'm selling tickets for me. Now these people are there for you. Before they were just catching me. If I was funny by chance. Now I feel like this huge weight or like a sense of responsibility, like to make these people have a good time because listen, we know it. It's not easy. Who, especially now in New York, who wants to leave their house? Like these people are buying a ticket. they're spending money. Some of them have to get babysitters. You know, it's like a real commitment to like leave your house these days. At my age, I'm like, unless I'm being paid to leave, I want to stay in all the time.
Oh yeah, you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself though, like that.
But you know, you realize that it's really not about me. Like if people need to escape from everyday life sometimes, like you kind of never know what somebody's going through or why they need that night out. And that's
Reality's too real.
Yeah, and you want them just to have like a great hour. You want people to say, I walked away from her show and I had a great time from start to finish. Like, even if it was like, I've had people come to me or message me after and been like, hey, I've really been going through it, you know, or something really terrible happened to them or they're sick and they're like, I really needed tonight. And you're like, oh my God, like
And that's your push.
yeah. And that's like, I have to. So now I get that, like, oh my God, this has to be great. You don't know what, you know, you don't, I feel that weight, which is a big weight to carry, but I feel it.
It is. I give comedians a big, props because it's not like you're live, right? You're coming up with stuff and sometimes you have to tweak and change on the spot.
Oh, right on the
because
spot, yeah.
It all depends on the crowd and how the volume's shifting.
Yeah.
And I've seen that in action and some people are great at it and some people could get stuck at it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's the hardest thing that someone could do.
And that comes with time. You know, my crowd work now compared to my crowd work 12 years ago is completely different.
And speaking of that, because I'm pretty sure things have changed, I need to know probably what one of the worst nights you had on stage. I love asking that question.
One of the worst nights. One that I remember clearly. I had an album, like a label, coming to see me, and I had 2 nights I was performing in this club, and I'm like, it was like a Wednesday and Thursday, and I was like, I'll give them the Thursday. Thursday is always a better crowd.
Really, on a Thursday?
Better than Wednesday.
Oh, better than Wednesday. Yeah.
And
yeah,
I was
yeah.
like. And I was like, that's fine. And that Wednesday night was great. And I was like, oh, tomorrow is going to be even better. And it was the most silent audience I had ever performed in with this record label company watching. And the irony is both sets were taped. And I actually felt like I had a better set that Thursday. And I was like, this is the longest hour of my fucking life. And I'm like, as I'm on stage, I'm actively like, you're bombing in front of, but like in front of the like one company that you need to like pay you right now. And I believed in the material. It was just a weird crowd. And cause sometimes it is, and I was like, well, that's over. And then they emailed me the next day. They're like, great, let's record. And I was like, off of that.
Because
last night they're like, we know what the material is. We just knew what the audience was. It's not no reflection on you, which of course it feels like the reflection is on
I
you.
think it's more like they look at the material and I guess the body language.
Yeah.
Right. You look at yourself, which is always going to be harder than yourself. So
It was just I remember being like, I don't even remember if I've ever had an audience like that again.
Thank God.
I think that was I'm not going to lie. I have really great audiences, especially now that I'm selling my own tickets and they're there for me. They are there for me. Like, we have a great time. It was just, it was before I kind of hit a little bit, and it was like some people just were there, and I was like, this is definitely.
If you can go back, you would definitely fuck all of you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, look at me now, bitches. Look at me now. No.
So I'm the opposite of him. He likes the crazy stuff.
Oh, yeah.
What was one of your best moments on stage?
It was at a charity event. I had done a charity event for Chaz. I think it was in 2017. And then a year and a half later, I did another one. And from where I was that first charity event that we did together to where I was a year and a half later was probably the most growth I had ever had. And I'll never forget, it was like 300 people. It was a sold out show. And there were a lot of people in the audience, because of him, not me. And I remember just knowing on stage that I was killing. Like, it was like one of those moments where I was like, oh my God, this is, and like everybody felt it. And it was just a really great moment. And the other one that can compare to that, not compare it to that level, but it was a year or two before that, Danny Aiello was in the audience at one of my shows, and Moonstruck was my favorite.
I like him too, yeah.
Wow.
Favorite movie of all time. It wasn't that I had the best time on stage, but I'll remember it was the most nervous I'd ever been on stage because, you idolize somebody growing up and now they're there in an audience to watch you, and you're like, what's happening? And I'll never forget, I knew where he was sitting, and like the first like minute and a half, I almost couldn't concentrate. And then I heard him laugh because like I knew where he was sitting and I knew the voice. And then from there I was like, oh my God, this is fine. I'm cool now. But I would say the time that I like really did well in front of like that big audience, it was like the biggest audience at the time I'd ever performed at.
That's awesome.
You know, you need the wins or it's so easy to want to quit.
Oh yeah. I've heard of plenty where people are like, they bomb once and they never go back on again.
It's very hard. Oh yeah, I wake up and I'm like, that's it. That was a good run.
No, stop it.
It's over now. It's over. If it didn't work out,
Where do I put my my 2 weeks notice? Who do I
where
give
do
it
I
to?
hang this mic up?
Have you really said that to yourself before?
Oh my God.
Oh,
yeah. You don't quit, but you have those mornings where you wake up and you go, what am I doing with my life? Like what? This is the life I've chose?
That's what I say when I eat ice cream at 2 a.m.
Yeah, I know. Listen, we all have those things.
Yeah.
So from I seen you done movies.
Mm-hmm.
You've co-host a podcast. You have a podcast. You do talks in the street.
Just throwing shit at the wall to see what sticks. Fucking follow me, bitches. Follow. I got fucking bills to pay.
I feel like everything you touch, I think it's hysterical.
Thank you.
But what would you is stand up your number one?
Stands Up is it.
That would
Stands Up
always
is home. It's platform. I'm getting other things because I'm doing well in that platform, on that platform, but that will always be home.
Right.
I'll always want to, it's like anything. I'll always want to be out at night on a stage. It could be for 10 minutes. I could do a spot. I get asked to do 15 minutes on stage somewhere and I drive to do
Stand
it.
up's in your heart and that's
it. It's where it's at for me.
When did you know that that's what you wanted to do 13 years ago? Like what got you there?
I'd always wanted to do it and I never did it.
Okay.
And I opened up, I think it was like a memory box or something, or it was like a box we used to write our goals in every year. We'd write new ones. Me and my girlfriends I forgot what the name of the box was. And I looked, and like 4 years before that, I had said, "Oh, I want to try stand-up comedy."
I think time capsule.
Time capsule.
There
That's
you go.
it.
I had it right
was like,
here, too.
yeah, I know. I
I'm
was like,
I'm gonna get it.
why am I blanking on the name? And then a show came out. It was called Last Comic Standing.
That was
remember
great.
that.
And I loved it the first year. I was like, this is amazing because I always was fascinated with comedy and stand up. And I was like so excited and I couldn't wait for it to come back on. And when it came back on that second year or whatever, I was like anxious watching it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what's happening? I was so looking forward to the show and it was like bothering me. I'm like, I think it's bothering me because I'm not trying it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I just have to try it. So I wrote 5 minutes, went into the city.
And you did it.
And I did it. And it was, I was addicted ever
From
since
there
then.
on.
Yeah.
The question I wanted to ask was, if you looked up to any stand-up comedians, who are they and why?
I guess you'd look at like trailblazers like Joan Rivers, who really didn't give a shit. She said whatever she wanted, however she wanted to say it. And she was a woman.
Mm-hmm.
You know, let's face it, there's been a huge shift in, you know, females in women in comedy and what she did. She was so original. And I think like when I look at that, it's like if she could do it, you know, anybody can do it.
Well, that led to my next question, which is good because I feel like comedy then, like the Andrew Dice Clay times, and now has changed so much where there's a lot of, I'll say sensitivity in between and someone could be held so accountable for something they say. Do you think that that defeats the purpose of a comedian?
Oh, completely. It has affected the art form dramatically. I do think there's a real pushback now. Like I think the jokes I'm starting to say now I couldn't say in 2020. But I think people got a little fed up with the cancel culture aspect, especially in comedy, that like at this point, getting canceled will just make you famous.
Right? It's
you know,
comedy.
and I think for a while I took jokes offline. Like I was like, oh my God, this
You're
is.
worried.
I mean, people still get offended. Don't get me wrong. I mean, if you look at the comments, if you read the fact that I still don't want to kill myself from reading all the comments that are on my posts, like I am apparently like the ugliest, worst, unfunny person
We're
to
fat and
exist.
dumb.
Yeah, it's like I did even today. Like I did a joke where I was like, "What's up with all these baristas? Why are they exhausted? Do a shot of espresso. There's coffee back there, Becca." You know, I'm like, it's the Gen Z it's the Gen Z. They're everybody's woke, nobody's awake.
Right.
You know, like just and some woman's like, "You've never done the job of a barista." I'm like, "Oh my
Oh,
God,
fuck
Lord,
yourself.
lady, please!" It's literally it's a legit joke. Like, I'm saying that they need unions. Maybe they're overworked. Like, do you
No.
really think I'm being serious in this moment?
That's the thing. People don't know how to do the distinction.
I
If
know.
You're very much into their
I
feelings.
lost a ton of followers because I was making a reference like Italians, we're not white, like, you know, like we're not like regular. And people are like, we're white. I'm like, oh my, it's both sides, both sides.
no,
It doesn't make a
100%.
difference what side you vote on. Everybody's looking to get offended online these days.
What upsets me when all that cancel culture going on and these comics, and I feel like the minute that you start apologizing,
Yeah.
not only makes it worse, but you just gave into the masses.
Yeah.
To what? You're supposed to rep yourself. That's your job, dude.
Yeah.
And you're going on camera saying, I'm sorry if I offended. I would have went on camera and said, if you've been offended, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
This is my job.
Yeah, and I think too, it's like, listen, don't get me wrong, we evolve, and some things that we said, maybe we can say in a different way. I could subscribe to that.
Okay.
What I can't subscribe to is the like, listen, there are comics or newer comics who aren't really comics that just want to go on stage and say things for shock value. That's not what we're doing. Like, a real comedian, every time I hit that stage, it's to make a reference. I'm making fun of myself more than anybody, Italians more than anybody. It's like, which by the way, Italians take it so much better. Everybody makes fun of us. None of us we all take it. We all.
We have two extremes. Either we want to beat the shit out of you, or
Yeah,
we're like,
but for the
"That's
most
fucking
part,
funny."
like the Luigi Mangione and this, everybody was coming at Italians. This Tommy Cutlets, the manager.
Oh, God, Tommy Cutlets.
We could be stereotypically made fun of. You can't stereotypically make fun of people these days.
No.
So it's like, relax. Like,
Have a coconut smile.
yeah, like, or don't listen. Keep it moving. Like, if you don't like my video, keep going. I've never looked at somebody's video and be like, I need to write something.
I never understood that.
I'm like, you have no better use of your time than to criticize my video, a stranger's post.
One of the hardest things that we're on is people saying, and I'm sure you get it too, you're a fake Italian.
Oh, I
always
hate
good.
it.
That's always good.
This whole fake Italian thing, I think is just nonsense. I'm sorry if I'm proud of
Clip
what-
this. Listen to what this man is saying.
You son of my bitches.
Yes.
You know, that's why I'm doing this, is to share and keep that culture alive. There's a difference, though, of a person who mimics it and makes fun of you.
Yes,
And-
100%. So the reason why I even became popular online was because one day, out of complete nostalgia, not trying to be funny, I'm a comedian. It was not trying to be funny. I was on the phone with our friend's mom, whose brother was in Calvary Hospital, which is like the hospital where you basically go
Right.
to be taken care of the best you can be taken care of before you pass. And she said something to me on the phone like, oh my God, he's such a skinny blink. And I'm like, oh my God, that's such a New York Italian, not Italian phrase, but just like somebody's New York Italian mom would say something like that.
Wait, was it Blink?
Skinny blink. It was like a very Bronx thing. And it was a very Bronx thing. And I was just like, I go, these terms are like, they're dying out. There's, and it's like, wow. And I grabbed the phone and I got really nostalgic. And I was like, these are words and phrases I remember growing up in my New York Italian neighborhood. And I'd be like, Stunad, Mamadel,
Which
school
I
of
love when
boss.
you do this in the street. The responses are insane.
Fugazi, whatever. Just like, obviously they're Americanized, right? It's the way we heard them from our the generation before us. Strictly nostalgic, thought nothing of it. An hour later, I go, that video was stupid. Let me take it down. I'm a comedian. It's not even funny. I went to go take it down. It had like 300,000 views before I even had a social media platform. I was like, what's happening? People started buying tickets to shows. And they didn't even know I was a comedian. And they'd be like, oh my God, this was so funny. This was just a great show. And I was like, well, what did you think you were going to say? They go, I thought you were going to do the words. And I was like,
Oh my
you
God.
bought a ticket to hear me say School of Boss? Like, what's happening right now? And they were just like, and then I realized, and I was like, I hated it. And I was like, well, I got to do another video and I did another video and I was like, this is really tormenting me because I think I was watching it and to me, I was like, this is cringe. Not cringe because it was Italian American, just because I was a comedian and I didn't think it was funny. And then I realized, they realized that there's an era that was kind of leaving us. And they were getting nostalgic about it and they were relating to me. And I'm like, it's just relating to people. Same way my comedy does. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, I'm going to keep doing them even though I hate them. And a woman messaged me and she said, I've talked about her before. She said, my mother's 90 years old. She has, advanced dementia. And there's really nothing we can do to jog her memory. We've played music from her time. But we play your videos and she can tell us what the words mean. And I was like, I will do these videos forever. I will never stop doing. I was like calling Maria. I'm like, give me words. I have a medical situation on my hands. I need to do these videos. And then, you know, about a year later, that woman's mom had passed, and she ended up coming to one of my shows, and we were both crying, and it was like, and I was like, yeah, this is not how I want people to come to my comedy shows.
Right.
Please don't come in crying. But
It's awesome how the connection just happened.
Yeah.
and then I realized that's what it is. And you know what? I was like kind of bugging out about it. And I actually see, it's like I admired Colin Quinn right for so long. And then I got to speak to him, and we're friends now. And I was talking to him about my comedy career. And I was like, you know what? I feel like I'm going to get pigeonholed into this New York Italian act. And that's not what I am. I'm a mainstream comic. And he was like, relax. He's like, the more specific you are, the more universal you're going to be.
Right.
And then I was like, it was like a light bulb went off on my head. And then I started opening up for guys like Josh Wolf, who's not Italian at all, you know, and his audiences were loving me. And he's like, it's fine. He's like, you're so specific that they love you because it's relatable, whether they've seen you on TV or they just love your perspective because it's so specific that it's mainstream. So I was like, oh my God. It was like what I was avoiding trying my whole time because I didn't want to be too Italian. I knew what my accent sounded like. It was really the only way I was going to make it was just by being me.
Yeah.
It's so crazy
It's
because
the personality you're selling here.
And that's the best way because you don't want to get stuck.
Right.
There's so much Italian you could do.
Right.
So that was the perfect thing. But
Yeah.
there is one thing I'll say that does get me upset is...
No, don't say it. Don't say gravy versus sauce.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No, I have brain cells and I will not have this discussion.
We need to. I'm
not gonna have it.
sorry, but we have to have the. Hey,
I know her response. That's why I brought it up.
I know. And listen, I'm aware of it too. I live in that area. I know what they all say. Why?
So this is my thing about it. It's like we all say things that originated from our ancestors.
Absolutely.
And so there's a real sentimental value to why we cling on to those words. So I hate the that's not what it is when it's the person you love the most who's no longer here that said it. So that I'm going to make you feel bad about it.
It's working, unfortunately.
So to me, it's like, I feel that a lot of Italians, especially when they migrated here, came here after the Irish, who were treated like shit.
Yep.
We were the next ones. You know, it's just what happens. And I know there was a real sense of Americanizing their children or, wanting their kids to only speak English or only learn certain words because they wanted them to not deal with the prejudice of it.
Sure.
So some of these words got really changed because our parents or grandparents were trying to say the words more American or speak more English, and they didn't want us to speak Italian. So things just got shifted. And especially with the ingrained New York accent and all these other things, it's funny. The Greeks came after, and the Greeks stood their ground. Their kids went to Greek school, and they were a small community, and they stayed together. They weren't subject to the things that, I'm sure there's prejudice all around, but we really had that pressure to be like, we want the American dream for our children. So I think with that came terminology or verbiage that wasn't really used from the old country or ways they tried to change it to try and acclimate for us. So to me, it's like, still makes me really proud to say gravy.
That's fine. That's fine. Can I put up a defense for us?
Yes.
We are first generation.
Right.
We know the proper, and
Right.
this is not to take away
Right.
from your thing. It bothers us in a sense that we know the right way. It has to, because we're.
But is there a right way? Because I know it's a sauce.
There is.
But when you put meat in that sauce, it becomes gravy.
The reason is this.
No,
So
yeah.
There's different ones. When you have sauce, it's sugo. Because sugo
Right,
is a
sugo,
juice. So
yeah.
we got that one. Then when you have the meat sauce, it is, we normally say capugliato. But I call it meat sauce. I won't even go into the Italian. The whole point of this gravy thing is when there's chunks of meat, like those chunks of beef and sausage and stuff. But you're not getting drippings from that. I would agree if this was like I don't know, a prime roast that the drippings are falling down, and you're making a gravy out of that. Inside of sauce, I don't know if you noticed, but I'm pretty fat, so I'm gonna get into food a little bit. It's a different world. It has one meat drip. It's not in there. It's just cooked meat and sauce. So for us, we wouldn't just normally say capugliato or sugo or just regular sauce. This gravy thing. I was at a store, at a butcher, close to where I live. The first time I went there, not the Calabrese pork store. There's another one on Central Park Avenue. I went over there and I was ordering sausage, this and that. And this guy asks me, he turns around, and I didn't want to be a dick. So he turned around, he goes, oh, what do you normally do with that? And he goes, you put it in your gravy? I was like, because now this is my natural state. I'm like, I don't do gravy. I said, I do sauce. He goes, oh, you're one of those. And I'm like, you motherfucker. I'm like, you know what, man? Put it in your gravy all you want. I'm just, for us, we know the right terms, and it bothers us a
But
little.
a lot of my terms aren't right. I change my C's to G's. I cut off the vowels.
No, and that's fine. And that's
I say mozzarella.
It's like a knife to the heart.
I say mozzarella.
get it,
I go to
though.
Arthur Avenue and I get my...
But that's what, but that's another thing. A lot of people like that. Like that's like you said, back in their time, this is with their parents, and I get it. My dad came here when he was 30. Didn't really help me much to when I hear these words that people are saying. I'm like, that's not right. And I would get chewed out going home and saying them.
But here's the thing. It's been changed, right?
Yeah.
And it's right for New York. And it's right for
Yes.
Jersey or Rhode Island or Boston or Chicago. Not that everybody from there, because there's first generations in all
right.
those places. Philly, big one.
Oh, Philly's huge. Yeah.
But it's right for our generation.
Absolutely.
And it has evolved. And what I love about it is it's still being proud to be
100%.
who you are. So that's what I'll say about it.
At the end of it, it's still, there's nothing wrong with being
Right.
proud of the culture you're from. And I love that.
This is where I have a problem.
Go ahead.
Online with some of the
With the maniacs that are on there?
yeah, it's like the constant cursing or double negatives, like we're stupid.
Yeah.
But I go, okay, that I don't want people to go, I got the fucking mozzarella, and that's not me either. Like when I say things like my grandfather would be like, get the mozzarella, get the this, get the prosciutto. Like he said it in a way that it still had like dignity, dare I say? I don't know how to say it. But you watch these Mama Lukes online. And I'm like, I don't sound like that. I don't over accentuate my accent. Trust me, I wish I didn't sound like this when I listen to myself. It's how I sound. I can't, if I think about how I'm going to sound, I'm not going to talk so
Right.
like naturally. But the over accentuated accent, the double negatives, the fucking gobble. I'm like, no, but I'm not saying it like that. I'm saying it the way I was heard at a dinner table with my grandfather in his, underwear and t-shirt, like.
That goes back to what I was saying. There's a difference of people making fun of it.
Yes.
And
But there's
naturally-
Italian Americans that do it to get
Yes.
social. And it's like, oh, I don't want people to think that that's what I look like or sound like, or I don't want people to think that's the comedy I do. I feel that. When I did the mozzarella, even when I go on the street, I go, what's fugazi? What's this? What's that? But I'm not like, over the top.
No.
And the over the top is what gets me.
Yeah.
So I think there's like the real off the boat, first generation Italian Americans, there's Italians, and there's the Italian Americans, and then there's
American Italians.
the American Italian, the Stunads.
Here's a funny thing that happened to me online. I think I stole Mario Meats and Deli Joe's meme about sauce and gravy. So I just posted it, and it went nuts on my feed. And then some people were being really rude about it, and some people were just having fun with it. So I went on and I said, all right, show me
An Italian
pan
word. Oh.
of gravy.
Yo.
And I was like, I got them. Do you know how many pictures of can of gravies that are actually sauce? And I call them like, I think they got me. Someone's selling these things.
I think it was a store out in Jersey. They had jarred sauce that was called
down
gravy.
South. It was down south, yeah.
On menus, I see things like Sunday gravy.
Sunday
I haven't
gravy.
seen that yet.
I've seen it on a menu.
I've seen it.
Wow. Really? Where?
Sunday gravy, and it has like like a braciole and sausage and meatballs over a pasta.
So listen, this is not to say wrong. It's just that we're used to the correct verbiage.
Right. I get there's a proper. See, I won't say right or wrong. I'll say proper. Yeah.
I agree.
There's proper. Right.
Okay.
Like a lot of people also think spaghetti and meatballs
It's an American dish.
You
Yeah.
know, or what was the other
Fettuccine
one?
Alfredo.
Chicken parm.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
fettuccine alfredo is a big one.
Yeah,
Because
ordering chicken parm in a restaurant's like taboo if you're an Italian.
It doesn't exist over
Yeah.
there.
I wasn't allowed to order pasta at all. We barely went to Italian restaurants, and when we went, if I ordered pasta, I'd get the look of,
Right.
so you're going to eat the thing here that you,
You could
have
eat
at
at home. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the mentality. You're gonna pay for that. You're gonna pay money for something I can make better at home.
As you could tell, very, very miserable people.
Yeah.
It wasn't fun growing up. But
No,
it wasn't.
I know.
So the Boro breeds.
Borough breads.
Breads.
Yes.
Excuse me.
Quarter noodle.
It's like thoroughbred, but you're a boroughbred.
There you go.
That's how we do
actually
it.
pretty clever.
Yeah.
Tell us some of the crazy things you hear people say to your responses.
Oh, well, first of all, it's like, again, it's funny because like you go on the street and you're like, you don't realize. I think the thing I found the most fascinating is the terminology that we use, especially as New Yorkers, isn't really universal. And I didn't think I realized that. I went to London to perform and I was like, well, this will be easy. My comedy's in English. But there's not everything that translate even in English. Like that translates. Like I did a joke about my dad and it was like, oh, on the front lawn. And they're like, what's the,
Right.
they say like,
The lawn.
I think they have like a different term for it or like, yeah, and it's
They don't
like,
say apartment, they say flat.
yeah. And it's like,
they don't say chips. They
right.
say
Some of the
something
things they
else.
just don't. And I was like, oh, these jokes aren't all translating. Like the punch, like these jokes could be getting such bigger laughs if I knew their words. So when I was doing borough breads, it was really just to highlight New Yorkers, the difference between New Yorkers, transplants, and tourists. And like a word like pocketbook. No clue. Nobody
Really?
had,
Nobody
not
knew?
one person on the street in the West Village knew what it was.
Wow.
And so it's kind of funny when you like do that and it's like you think like you're so relatable and you're like, oh, nobody actually knows what I'm talking about.
It was one that you did. It was Fish for Tell.
Yeah. Oh.
That one guy got it.
I
and
know.
he wasn't a lick of Italian.
No.
I'm like, how did he get? He knew.
Yeah.
it pretty
He
well.
thought it was ice cream at I think that guy, right? The guy at the end?
No, he said it was a pastry. He goes,
Oh,
no, it's
yeah,
a
yeah,
pastry.
because
And
I
I'm
knew
like,
it was not a pastry.
out
Yeah.
of all these
yeah.
people that you did
Yeah,
that with,
I know.
he was the only one who caught it.
Yeah.
All right.
But I knew the word was so funny and I was like, nobody knows what this is if they're going to see it spelled out. So because it's so funny. You hear all the people like Fagliatella, and it's like, this is what I sound like with other people when I say gravy, I guess. But I was like, oh, this is terrible.
No, that was great. A few of them I've seen, I was like, oh my God, how do they not? Like, you had one, the Mapin.
Oh,
That was another one. I was just like, Jesus Christ, really?
It's because now you're Italian, a first generation. Did you say Mapin? No,
Mapino.
Mapino. Okay, because people like I didn't know what it. I never asked for a dish rag in my life.
Yeah, it's a rag.
But those
yeah.
are words that our parents here Americanized.
Yes.
You know,
Well, not my parents. Oh, well, our parents. didn't.
like we say it a lot, like chicken.
Yeah.
You know, it's polo, but we say chicane.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so the mapino is another one.
Right.
Frigidaire.
Frigidaire.
Yeah, Frigidaire is a big one.
Refrigerator.
Yeah,
That's all
I
they
know.
do is just change it to their
And
tone.
really, it was also just the name of the brand that they got.
Frigidaire.
Right.
It
Because
was
my
Frigidaire.
grandparents would be like Frigidaire, and I'm like, the what?
No.
And then and it was like, and he like pointed on the thing like he knew how to read the English, and I was like, that's a Frigidaire.
Right.
So when I went to Italy finally in 01, I thought I was the shit. I was from the United States and I knew the dialect. I didn't know nothing.
Because it's
They were like, "What did you say?"
Oh, yeah.
Because everything I learned was the right dialect, but with that Americanized refrigeradora.
Oh.
And mapina or carro. Carro is
Across your sheet.
like these across the street. It's English if you think about it.
yeah.
So I sat back. I'm like, wow. Like, what am I doing here? I want to go home.
I know.
Yeah.
It's so different. So the town where my family was from, they follow me online, and when I do the Italian words, they're like, "Are we gonna teach you the right way when you get here?" I'm like, "Oh man," because I'm going back. I'm like, "This is gonna be fun doing words with them in Sicily."
Oh, yeah,
I'm gonna do it.
Do like a comparison.
Yeah.
That would be good. It's just a lot of difference. The words is just crazy. It's like, I feel like we're stuck in like this middle area, and even like a fourth middle area, because it's like we have dialect Italian, then dialect American Italian. And it's like, like we've been saying, Frigidaire.
Mm-hmm.
No one even there nor here will be like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's like such a little gap where these things come
But
from.
here's the thing: I also am proud that it still exists, and I think
Yes.
it's dying, and that's
is,
why I started the Italian words because, and now everybody copies them. But I did it really just out of a moment of being like, "Wow, this is gonna die with this next generation or with me," and that made me really sad. So I was like, let me just do them. Thinking nothing. I didn't think it was going to spark what it sparked. From the negative comments to the positive comments, you know?
Because you'll get everything in between, man.
Look, it's hard to hold it. Like, I could read it and write it because in my household, that's all it was. There was no English. Now that we have kids, my wife grew up the same way. The parents are Italian from the same town. There was no English at home. So we're like, yeah, our kids are going to talk Italian. They don't. They don't because we don't talk it at home.
I know. Where are her parents from?
Same town as mine.
Oh, my God. Yeah. So now, can she fly? Is she scared to fly?
Oh, no. She's flying in a couple of weeks from now. She goes. She runs around.
She goes to Sicily?
She's gone to Sicily a couple of times. I think the last time you went was with me, right?
Yeah, we went
together.
So what is it gonna take?
All right, so I'll give you I said this before because it's funny. In 01, when we went, my wife thinks I over-exaggerate. There was a terrible flight in. That I used to fly before that, and I was fine. But that flight to Italy is what really, for some reason, it stuck with me. So we land, and I remember I changed my phone to the Nextel i1000 because that was international. So when we got over there, I called my mom. I'm like, Mom, I'm not coming home. I'm done. I'm staying here. Like my mom. So I was almost in tears when it was time to go home.
Because you didn't want to fly.
I didn't want to fly. I didn't want to go through that because we had to go from Falco Airport, Sicily, to Milan, from Milan to New York.
Okay.
So my aunt gives me these 3 pills that look like Tic Tacs. And she says, take one now, take one at the airport, and take one halfway in. She goes, you'll be good. I took all 3 in the car. But my adrenaline was so much. I fought it until we landed in JFK.
You never slept?
I don't remember getting home.
Oh, okay.
I didn't sleep. Like, that's how I get. So I tell my friends, the volume, my brother does it too. Mm-hmm. It doesn't work for me. And if it does, I panic. Like, it makes it worse for me.
Alcohol, maybe? Fermented grapes?
I'm ready to give him a shot in the head when he's sitting down. I can't, man.
Look, my mom just moved to Florida. It's been 4 years.
You can't go. You could drive.
We've done that. It's a nightmare. She's laughing.
Yeah.
But
that was a nightmare.
That's my experience with planes.
Is it like a control thing? Like, because you can't...
Yeah.
Yeah. I get that.
So my grandmother used to always tell me, when it's your time to go, it's your time to go. You shouldn't be thinking about stuff like that. But because I'm not in control, I'm like, but if it's the pilot's time to go.
Right. It's not going to happen on a plane for you. It's just not the way it is. It's just not. And I have to tell myself that, I'm on a plane next week. This week, I'm on a plane Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Oh, man.
I was supposed to be on another one that Monday, but now that got switched to the following Friday. And then I'm on another plane Monday.
That's why I asked you, what made you change? I was trying to...
Nothing. So I have to take a seaplane next week. So I'm going to probably be on Valium and...
A seaplane?
It's like a smaller plane from like...
Oh, is it like the propellers?
Oh, no, I don't want to talk about it. Actually, now that I'm doing this, I'm jinxing myself. I'm talking about it like this, the amount of like psychological grief I put myself through. I did helicopters in Greece.
That's cool. How was that?
I hated it, but it was... Everybody's like, look, isn't it beautiful? I'm like, nope. It was, but it was like 28 minutes top, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. It's terrible. You like this during some of that. And I'm like, but I had a phenomenal pilot who literally told me, like the whole way told me how safe the pilot flights were. And like, cause I was like, I'm in the air. I'm like, what happened to Kobe Bryant? They're like, oh my God, this girl's bringing that up midair. Cause like literally I get so freaked out.
Wow.
And this guy talked me through it. And I'll never forget. I wish I knew the name of the pilot. I was on a Delta flight. And in midair, the pilot got on and was like, hey guys, I want to talk to you about turbulence and how safe it is and how calm it is and how prepared we are and how great how well we've all been trained, your stewardess, what they're prepared to do. It was like, I was like, who is this God, voice of God right now? This pilot was like a dream for me. And I think we just constantly need those reassurances. That it's gonna be okay.
That, like on
I blast music and I don't want to know nothing till I get home.
Yeah, no. Listen, it's really hard. I literally thought about that with the tour coming up. I'm like looking at it and I'm like, I have to fly from here to here to here to here. And I'll look up like how long to drive. And I'm like, I'm not driving 9 hours by myself. Like that's also insane.
All right.
See, I know a plane won't kill me. My lasagna pan, that's gonna kill me.
Listen, so many things that we do on a daily basis.
Yeah.
it's just
A bus could hit you.
I mean,
What do you know? You know what I mean?
I get it, but it's like you go to a hypnotist. No?
I don't know.
We're Sicilians. We're weary of everything,
my
but I
mom-
would
my
try
hypnotist.
anything.
That's how-
I would try anything. Film it. Film going to a hypnotist. You'll go viral if it works.
Or just get blessed before you get on the plane. At least you know you're going up.
I got to try something. It's got to change because
gotta go,
I at
man.
least want to take my kids to Sicily.
You got to
I
think
wanna show them
quality of life. You have to think about that.
We'll figure something out.
There's only so much New York you can explore.
I mean, I love it. It's home, but
That's absolutely. But I told you earlier, I moved to the Westchester.
yes.
I want you to fill me in on where I should go and what I need to do out there because I've lived there for
I mean,
4
you're
years.
15 minutes from the Bronx. You can
Yeah.
go to the Bronx.
Yeah, I don't.
Arthur Avenue, you don't?
I went once to the Calabrese pork
I
store,
told you there's a parking lot now.
which is crazy. I gotta Google map
Municipal
that.
parking, yep.
Municipal.
It's
so,
right on Arthur Avenue to the right as you're going down past 187th.
Okay.
You go a little further by where like a little past like the meat market's on the left. You go not the pork store, Vincent's Meat Market.
Right.
Then there's like another fish store, and then it's probably right across from that fish store. Cassenza's, I think. You go
Should
make
we
a right.
edit this out? Because I don't want people knowing about this
Yeah,
shit.
yeah. Actually, cut this.
The parking lot will be full now.
Yeah.
But is there any like restaurants that you would on Arthur Avenue or anywhere that you would actually like recommend? Like,
I mean, I
I'm
love
down to
Tradenoy. I love in Arthur Avenue.
Okay.
To me, it's like traditional, still red and white tablecloths.
Nice.
Everybody is Italian. If they're there when the restaurant closes, the guy will go smoke a cigarette right there. It's
know
like
it's good.
as New York as you can get. And in Yonkers, there was a really great restaurant. I loved in Yonkers. I can't think of the name right now, but I'm gonna Google it when we get off this. A really good Italian restaurant. I mean,
Really?
yeah. I mean, listen, Westchester is full of the Bronx migrates to Westchester.
Yeah. I was also told to go to that pizzeria, Johnny 42.
In Mount Vernon?
Yeah, apparently I'm 5 minutes away from
Yes.
it. They don't do deliveries. They
No,
only take
and it's
cash.
only pies,
It's
right?
only pies,
Only
that's
pies.
it.
It's
I
really
haven't-
thin crust.
Is it?
It's worth it. So I'm gonna say something so sacrilege on this. I don't really like pizza.
Oh my God! What?
I eat pasta every day. If that can
Oh, okay.
at least if that
To
could
balance you out?
right? To balance me
Fine.
out.
Boy, what's with
I just never like. Even I went to Naples and I was like, like
You went to Naples where the pizza was born, and you said, "Nah, I'm all right."
I was like, I'm good. Like I ate it because everybody else was eating it, but I was like, I'm not. I have to be really like every maybe twice a year. I will leave. That's how we say it. Like a craving. I'll be like, I want pizza, but it's like Bronx pizza is the only pizza I'll ever crave.
Oh my God!
See, shame on me. Like I've explored Brooklyn, Staten Island, obviously where I live here. I've never done much in the Bronx, which I feel like I'm missing out.
A lot of people don't like. You guys just know Yankee Stadium or the Bronx Zoo. Like that's really what most people know about the Bronx.
No, that's true because I had chances to explore, and I'm like, I'm gonna go to Queens. Like it's just,
Well, you
it's what
also
I
go to
know.
what you're used to. You go to what you
Exactly.
know.
I would
I
like
moved
to
to Westchester in the beginning, and I was like, oh, I remember my friend called me. She's like, what are you doing? I lived like 25 minutes from the Bronx at this point. I was like, oh, I'm going to the Bronx. She's like, what for? I'm like, I'm going to get gas. And she was like,
I'm going to get gas.
what? I'm like, she goes, wait, you going to the Bronx for gas? I'm like, yeah, I'll go get gas. And then she's like, wait, there's gas stations by your house. I'm like, no, that's my gas guy. And she's like, no, you don't have a gas guy. Like, I had such a borough mentality that I was like, I don't know, I got to go get gas. That's the gas station I go
Oh my
to.
God.
I was driving to it.
Wow.
I'm not lying. I have to do the same thing. My gas guy's my gas guy.
Yeah,
My gas guy. This is the thing.
you go.
Guys, do you have a gas guy? Because this is.
That's insane. I get it, and that shows good stitching of you to where you're from. You know, like you can't really pull from it. Like
Right.
his brother moved to Florida. I don't know how he was able to do that kind of.
A lot of New York, New Jersey Italians live in Florida. I sell more tickets there than I do here.
I can imagine.
Mm-hmm.
I actually can imagine. But it's like, but you're from here. You are from Queens. You are from Long Island.
Mm-hmm.
This is to get up to go to a whole nother state. Yeah, it's good to visit, but to literally
It's a whole different lifestyle too.
to embed yourself into that.
What part? Can I ask? Is it East Coast or what?
It's the East Coast, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of New York, New Jersey Italians went to the East Coast.
Yeah, when my mom moved to near the establishment where it was practically new, now it's like full.
Mm-hmm.
When we went to go visit the first time, every car in the driveways was New Jersey and New York.
Yeah.
It was insane. And then you're talking to them, they're from Howard Beach, they're from Brooklyn, they're from. I'm like, it's like I never moved. You know?
It's 100% what it's like.
Yeah.
It's just scary.
I mean, it's just completely different. Like I could never live there, you know, full time. I'm a New Yorker through and through, but I'm in LA now. So it's like
How you
that
liking
was,
that?
I like it. I do. I really do. Listen, it's not the same as having a conversation with New Yorkers. Like, I would never have a conversation this long with anybody originally from LA.
Right. No.
But
Why? I want to know.
they're just different.
They're different.
But opportunity out there for me. I do like the lifestyle. I do have friends, you know, in this entertainment industry that are out there.
Yeah.
I get the best shows with the best comics
sure.
out there. I mean, it's really where it's at as far as like celebrity status.
Yeah. Like
in
my
LA.
brother was in the military. He was stationed down in San Diego, so he was living out there for like, what was it, 5-6 years, something like that. Honestly, to me, tell me if I'm wrong here. When I went to San Diego, that was the Sicily of America for me. Because
Well, they have a little Italy there.
I never went to it.
Okay.
I never went to that, but it was like the terrain. I
Oh,
just
yes.
remember.
Oh, right.
it was
I
like,
see what you're saying.
Dude, am I
Yeah.
in the hills of fucking Sicily right now?
Yeah.
Like, and you get there, then these have all the and the people spot you
Mm-hmm.
like you have a light bulb above your head. New York,
Mm-hmm.
oh fuck you! There you go, there it is. And I'm like, yeah, but I didn't mean for that. You started that. 2 words. Those all you need to say, and they're like New York.
Yeah, everywhere I go, they're like, "Oh, you're from New York." I'm like, "Hi, can I get a?" They're like, "You're from New York." I'm like,
Like you
"A
what?
coffee." They're like, "You're definitely from New York."
What accent? I don't
Yeah,
understand what
right,
you're talking
right.
about.
We don't hear these accents, man. Like I just noticed at one point when I was younger, I was saying bathroom, and I didn't even know I was saying it like that. Now every time when I have to
Well,
say
that's
it,
not the right way to say
I
it.
understand.
If we're gonna play that
But
game,
now I fixed it and I stopped saying that, but I didn't even.
how do you
realize
say
it.
this word? I'm gonna spell it: SANDWICH.
Sandwich. I know. The original way is sanguicho.
It
No,
will.
sanguicho, no, panino. We have to say panino.
No, but but it's sandwich. But
Yeah.
like a lot of New York ethnic people from New York will say sandwich, sandwich,
I
say
sandwich,
Sandwich.
sandwich,
like
or
sandwich.
I'll go sandwich. You want a sandwich? But I'll say it like normal. I'm like, oh my god, want to pick me up a sandwich? Like, you know, like a sandwich. I'm being like funny a little bit when I say it, but like normally, like my producer, she'll be like, oh, she's like, I want a sandwich. Sandwich.
Sandwich, yeah. Like,
Sandwich.
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
And I'm
that's
like-
another word that got Americanized. Like I've heard my grandfather tell me once, Frankie, voy un sandwicho.
Sandwicho.
Sandwich.
That's not a word, and that's what I went to Italy talking.
Right, and they're right, because they changed it. So they try to speak American. They try to speak English.
Right.
But they had their way of saying it. And those words got passed down, and now we think a mapin is like a mapina is like a real thing.
I'm telling you, when I saw you do the Mapino one and the Schwoyadel, those two guys.
When I did mapina, in Sicily, they were like a mop. I'm like, no.
Although it's not wrong. I used to mop
Right.
the floors with a rag.
Right.
When you used to
Yeah,
pull it
yeah,
around
yeah,
the broom.
yeah.
Telling you.
So you do podcasting, you co-host one, and you have your own.
Yes.
Because we do it, we love to hear from you. Like, what passion do you have for podcasting?
So the one with Chaz was just because he asked me, and I was like, that'll be great, you know. And I love the banter between him, Catherine, and I, because when we're not on the same page, it's so
The
authentic.
contrast of you three. is
Right.
awesome,
And I
yeah.
feel like people really get an inside look into what it's like to three friends either agreeing or disagreeing on something. And we have very strong New York Italian personalities and perspectives. So it's like, it's really, people are like, I just love that I feel like I'm on the inside.
Yeah, yeah.
And then with Coffee Talk, the reason why I started it was because Joey Diaz, I don't know if you guys are familiar. So
Love Joey.
he called me one day. It's like I'm starting to put the tour together, and I'm putting all the missing pieces together. And I got a new management, and he's like, listen, because he'll just randomly get an idea, want to give you advice, and just calls
Such a
you, and he
maniac, that
just
guy.
calls
I
you,
love him.
and he's like, there's a lot of funny people that can't sell tickets. He's like a lot of funny comics. He's like, you got to tell people about you and who you are. And at the time, I had just done a podcast, somebody else's podcast in LA, and I said, coffee. And it went like wild on this podcast. And my agents were like, we can probably get you some money just for the way you say the word coffee if you do this thing. And I was like, well, that's a good way for me to like have 10 minutes, have a cup of coffee in my hand, and do a small podcast where I just talk to people and tell them more about who I am. And that's really why I did it. And I just started it in September, and the feedback really, because I guess I'm funny just how I talk maybe, but it's not meant to be comedic.
No.
It's really me telling people how I feel about things or what I've been through in my life. And the response has brought a different audience where people are like, I needed this talk today.
Yeah, and honestly, for me, it's the look, the voice, and the contrast of what you're talking. It's just catchy.
Thank you.
So
Good.
and you have different types. Like, again, I'm not saying it because you're sitting here. I see it as when you're at stand up, you're a whole different person, and that shines. And then when I seen you do it in the streets with the mic, here's another version of her, and that shines. And then the coffee talk is more like you being yourself, and that comes out with like, wow, she's a nice person.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That means that I actually needed that because you do all these different things and you're like, this isn't working. And the reality of the situation is I never wanted to do one specific thing and only be known for that.
Right.
And I also felt that these people are really following me now and they're like invested, and I want to show them all aspects of really who I am and what it is. It's not just a persona. Like when I tell you I genuinely care about like doing well for, and now the sense of responsibility of people going, thank you for representing Italian Americans the way you do it. Thank you for representing people from the Bronx the way you do. That now I'm like, oh my God, I can't trip up. Like I have to show people where I came from, how good it could be, what my values are, what I've been through, how hard life can be, how to still like not quit. So that is kind of, and listen, when guys like Joey Diaz tell you, get off your fucking ass and do something with yourself, you know that he was in a place where he couldn't. And so you take his advice a lot more serious because it's not somebody, who came from money that's sitting there being like, oh, what you got to do is do this. Well, it's easy for you to say from where you've been sitting your whole life. I didn't come from, I grew up a single mom. My parents were divorced. They co-parented me as best they could, and they did. But like, life's not perfect. I didn't have much. Parents, grandparents were immigrants, but what we didn't have. And it's like kind of like insight into like the American dream really, and like how you can come from almost nothing and make something of yourself.
It's that, and it's also people want confirmation of what they're doing.
Absolutely.
Am I wasting my time? Am I wasting your time? I want to know if whatever I'm doing, is it doing good? You've got good feedback. So clearly you're not wasting your time.
I think, Marcus, one of the biggest keys, and I see it in her eyes, it's her passion in it.
Yeah.
And that is a big feed because while she was talking, I'm getting the chills. Like that vibration with people creates who she is.
Absolutely.
And that's not something that everybody has.
Thank you. And it's like I came in here, I walked around your kitchen, I'm hugging your wife. Like it's just like sometimes I'm like, maybe I'm too much for people. Like I'm just so like, right. I'm not even gonna fix my makeup in the bathroom with the lights on, with the door open. Like I just, and sometimes people don't know how to read you. Yeah.
Though it's good being that comfortable. You're in a new place, but when you feel it, it's different.
And it was also, you get a vibe. Like I just did a clip the other day from the Chaz podcast.
My God,
where Chaz
so
is
accurate.
like, you ever just meet someone and you don't like them? Like right away. And I'm like, yes. I'm like, that's basically my entire persona. But like the minute I walked in, when you're going to vibe with people. And let's face it, a lot of times it's the New York Italians or it's like, you automatically, it's easy. This was like just a conversation. It's like I sat down, your wife made me coffee, I sat right in your dining room table. Like that's like you don't realize, but that's a very like cultural neighborhood feel that is where I'm not going to get that in other places,
But it's good that you felt that way, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
So before we go, I know you have a lineup coming up. I want you to share with everyone.
Oh, okay. I'm excited. It's the Bronx Barbie tour. It starts this Thursday, January 9th. I don't know when this podcast airs, but it'll be in Charlotte, North Carolina. Is where I'm going to kick it off at the Comedy Zone. And then I go to Niagara Falls. I have a residency there at the Yuck Yucks Comedy Club. I'm there once a month, 4 shows a weekend. I'll be there in January, February, and March as of now. And then I'm in, it gets crazy. I'm in LA, and then I go to, I'm so excited for this show at the Avenel Performing Arts Center. I haven't even promoted it, and it's almost sold out. Thank you, New Jersey. You really can. You know what? It's New Jersey, and it's very close to Staten Island. So I feel like that's where everybody from Staten Island is going to get to see me. And then I'm in Poughkeepsie, New York at Laugh It Up Comedy Club on Valentine's Day. And then the next day I'm in DC. I'm in the Comedy Loft, I think, in DC on February 15th. From there, I go to San Diego, February 26th, Arizona, February 27th. Then it's Atlanta, Georgia, March 2nd. It's
How the fuck do you have all these
Naples,
fucking dates in your
Florida.
head?
Naples, Florida, March 6th. Represent. It's the day after my birthday. Let's celebrate. Then March 8th, I'm in Boca Raton at the studio at Meisner Park. March 9th, I'm in Tampa at Side Splitters. That show's almost sold out. It's only one show on a Sunday. I knew it was going to have that problem in Tampa. I knew you guys were going to buy. Thank you so much. And then from there, I go to Niagara Falls again, and then I'm in Seattle, Montreal, Toronto. The list goes on. Just I'm not going to do all the
Does
dates.
it go on? Please,
Yeah, I
go
know.
on.
That is awesome.
Yeah, the list will go on.
memorize all that?
Because people are you know what? I'm also one of these responders to everybody in my DMs, and they're like, "When are you?" Because this is what people do. People also do this. Like, you're just in their town. They're like, "When are you gonna come here?" I'm like, "I was there last night." And I get it. The algorithm doesn't feed it, and so
Right.
I feel like I constantly people will write under a post where I'm writing all my shows. But when are you gonna be in Montreal? I'm like, June 11th. It's written right
They
there.
don't
So
wanna
I know all my dates because I'm constantly telling people. Because I'm like June 12th, Toronto, June 11th, Montreal.
Unbelievable. I don't know how you do that.
Yeah. Irvine, California. I want to mention that one because I want California to represent is my new home. April 27th, Irvine Improv.
Well, it's not that we're making fun of you. Like, I can't
No.
remember what I did yesterday. Like,
Yeah.
that's,
April 25th, 26th, Seattle,
I'm
Washington.
gonna go make some coffee.
so here's the last question I
All
got for
right.
you.
Let's hear it.
What is your goal? Like, what's next for Tara?
So I think by the end of this year, I'll film a special. I'm saying it, so I'm going to commit myself to doing it. Comedy is always, stand-up comedy is always going to be the platform. I think I'm only going to try and get bigger in that. And so for me, it's like doing what I can do, what I can control, how I can control the narrative. So, right. Some comedy clubs aren't going to book you, or you need a bigger following, or you need this. So I'm going to do what I have to do to create that this year. I do get asked for auditions or to do some film things. And if those things happen, it's wonderful. It's like a happy accident. Although I have done acting, it's a happy accident that would happen because of stand-up comedy. But the real goal is to be, which we don't have, a real public, like, Italian-American female comedian. And I think that is something we deserve.
Absolutely.
So hopefully it's me, or if it's somebody else, great. But I think
It's going to be you.
it's going to, I hope
Oh,
so.
yeah.
It's going to be you.
100%.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you for
coming.
having me. Thank you, Enza, for the coffee.
And everyone, Tara Jokes, that's her plug. Look her on Instagram. I love her.
Thank you.
I'll put up some more things soon where you could find her tours. And I can't be more appreciative that you were here for
Oh,
us.
thank you guys. Thank you.
definitely.
Thank you, everybody.